All in Sports Network. We love sports.
It is Monday, April 14th, right here on your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns. I'm Tanner Carlson. That is Jake Jimerson. This is brought to you by Rogue Sports Network, and a big weekend of sports that have taken place, possibly the greatest sporting spectacle all year long, the Masters. We will discuss our reactions to that. This is a Longhorn podcast, but we would be remiss if we didn't even mention the greatest 4-day sports tournament that happens every single year, and that would be the Masters. And so we'll give our discussion on that, and Rory getting his Grand Slam, his career Grand Slam. And we'll kind of give some takeaways on that. Texas baseball, big series win over Kentucky. It wasn't a series sweep, but a good win nonetheless. And then softball actually drops their series to Tennessee at home. So not a great look for softball, but again, a top 5 Tennessee team who is very talented in their own right, who has made plenty of runs to the College World Series in their own rights. However, as the number 1 team in the country, you got to protect that home turf. And so we will get into all of those things and then a little bit and then some, depending on where the conversation goes. A lot of things have happened over the sports weekend, and Jake and I, we tend to get off topic and just things pop in our brains that we need to spit out there from time to time. But Jake, how was your weekend? I know you enjoyed the Masters. We were going back and forth with it, but we also got to watch a lot of Texas baseball this weekend, and we watched as much Texas softball as we possibly could as well, with the Masters going on, with the baseball going on as well. Only so many screens to share, but I think we did a pretty good job this weekend.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's great. Finally, awesome weather here. I had the smoker going all weekend. Did pork belly today. Did ribs yesterday. Did chicken thighs on Friday. Had something going every single day on the smoker. And then
thanks to the meat thermometer that you have, by the way.
Yeah, I could have gotten by without it. You know what I didn't have? My meat hook to bring it up again. You're not going to become my hero because you sent me my meat thermometer back.
I did have to ship you a $14
wow, so you owe me $6 still is what I'm hearing.
Yeah,
because the meat hook was about $20. So,
essentially. Yeah.
We're not going to get back on that again. One of my buddies who listens to the podcast, he was laughing about, he brought up the meat hook to me. He was actually over this weekend and brought that up, how he heard that on the pod. But yeah, it is awesome. Great. The Masters was fantastic. I thought
we deserve that Masters after March Madness.
Yes, we got a great Final Four, great championship game, and now we've had a great Masters. My kind of March, April feels really good. Texas baseball rolling, Texas softball still in a good spot. Women's basketball making a Final Four. Men's basketball was disappointing end, but now the excitement of a new regime and building what looks like a pretty good roster as well. So really, and football getting practice going. I've been reading the practice reports. We'll talk about that more on tomorrow's show, but I have a bunch of stuff written out for that. So it's a fun, any weekend I can be outside, have the smoker going, have football or baseball and the Masters on it. That's a great weekend.
Yeah, we had I nearly had a slight, I don't know what you would call it, issue, I guess, with the one of the final going into like the 17th, 18th hole into the playoff, where my girls decided to go outside, and it was perfect. They went outside. They were playing with their bunny, and they were completely quiet, stayed out of my hair to finish the Masters. Rory goes and misses the par putt, bogeys the final hole. They go into the playoff. I go outside to go check on the girls, and they've been running the water faucet for probably about an hour straight. Backyard is nearly just a mud pit of swampy, just craziness. The bunny is soaking wet. The girls are muddy head to toe, and the playoffs are about to start. And I'm thinking to myself, and
you just shut the door and go back in at that point.
I said, you know what? You guys are just going to get in the bath, deal with it later. I was a little upset at the time, got them in the bath. They were just sitting in there having a grand old time, like nothing bad even happened. And I watched the rest of the Masters, and I dealt with it later because, like you said, Jake, there's nothing else you really can do at that point. Turn the water off, put the bunny inside. Poor little guy was just freezing, just shivering for the whole time. But yeah, I didn't miss anything, but I just was like, nope, we're not doing this. I'll deal with it at another time. But yeah, so that was my Masters experience there right towards the very end. And then was trying to watch some of the ceremony and Rory's reaction and him getting the green jacket. And because, that's a big moment, but, still trying to get them, bathed and cleaned up in the backyard, somewhat put together. But yeah, so that was my just right at the tail end.
Like enough water where the whole backyard is muddy?
Oh, it was a good portion of like where the faucet is, probably about a 5x5 square foot range, is just muddy swamp. It's just muddy. It's just
no thought in their mind while they were doing that was gonna that's on the oldest. She's old enough to know.
Well, yeah, and I looked outside. So then I go out there and she's just chilling, and I'm like, hey, why didn't you stop this from happening? They're not supposed to do that. Yeah, but I wasn't doing it.
No, the joys of kids. I can't wait till I join that club.
No, you weren't doing that. No. So anyway, Jake, Texas baseball played a very feisty Kentucky team. That was kind of my takeaway from this Kentucky team. Now, there's probably going to be some Texas fans that are like, Texas didn't play their best games. They should have beaten this Kentucky team by way more. They're a much better team. And really, when you look at it, this is first of all, it's not a hitter's stadium. Not a lot of home runs, not a lot of dingers are set in this stadium. So you're not going to get the typical Texas, 3-run shots, 4-run shot, these home runs that you typically see from the batting lineup. I was thoroughly impressed with the defensive play from Texas, really the entire series. I thought pitching was pretty solid, especially Riojas in Game 3. I was very impressed with him, over 100 pitches. Pitched over 7 innings. And but yeah, it to me, that was something that stood out to me, was going on the road in a stadium not really advantageous to the batter, for Texas to hang in there and play against a very feisty Kentucky team who, what I want to say, their record is like 4-7 in like 1-run games or something like that. I mean, they've been taking teams down to the wire all season long. They've just been on the losing end on them. And, kind of the same old story here against Texas, except for Game 2, where they took them 15 innings and got the win.
Yeah. And for people who listen to our preview, we're not baseball guys and we don't pretend to be, but I think our preview kind of rung true, which was Kentucky. You got to ignore their record. They were ranked going into SEC play, and the only reason they weren't ranked was they've lost several series 1-2 as far as the series tally, and most of those losses have been really close losses to really good teams, and then taking a game off those really good teams as well. Yeah. So this Kentucky team, the record is deceiving because they've had a tough schedule. And they've taken games off of everyone. No one had swept them. They beat A&M in a series, who now is just, I don't know if you saw, they had a
grand slam, walk-off grand slam.
Double grand slam. They had 2 grand slams in the 9th to come back and win.
Yeah. Against the 2-win South Carolina team.
Yes, but still, combine that with the win against Tennessee. I wish Texas got them early. That wasn't going to happen with that series. Right. But and that's why I tempered early in the year, but still, Kentucky, I would say feisty. I would also say Bush League style of team. The crowding the plate, the leaning into the pitches. I see why I believe they lead the nation in hit by pitch.
Well, they were so yes, they do, but they were also the team that ended the game early against Texas A&M. With the whole, curfew time
to win the series too. That was to win the series.
Yeah.
Where they were delaying. I mean, they were doing it on purpose. The A&M coach got pretty pissed off. Rightfully so for him. Because what Kentucky, I mean, it's funny to me because A&M, but yeah, I mean, Kentucky's done this stuff all year long. You could hear their fans coming through the audio, kind of just like there's this one dude behind home plate who's actually driving me nuts. It's like, I'm all for trash talking stuff, but one thing I'm not going to do is I'm not in if I was in college, like if I was in college talking smack to the other team while they're on the court or the field or whatever, that's one thing. When you're a 45-year-old man sitting behind home plate alone, no one with you, no family, not a surprise for this guy's case. And you're talking crap like that to kids who are batting just the whole game. It looks very pathetic.
Yeah.
And that's how, and I had saw multiple of the Longhorn like baseball fan accounts that go to all the series talking about, and these aren't people who just complain about every road. They talked highly about Mississippi State. There are also guys who go to all the road football games, people with way too much money who can go to just all road events.
Yeah.
And the only other fan base I've heard talked about like this was like Arkansas, which I experienced that firsthand. And so yeah, I didn't hear very high remarks of Kentucky, and so feisty, but feisty in a bush league way is how I would explain it.
Yeah, I mean, feisty in a scratch and claw, pull hair, kick the nuts, any possible way of staying into the game, no matter what kind of cheap tricks you need to pull off to stay in the fight. That's exactly what they did. But yeah, no, it was a good series though. 15 innings, long game. I did not watch the very end of that game. I'm sorry. I didn't make it through all 15 innings. I hand up on that one, but I did watch the other two games in full. And this was the first series I think I watched all three games, two of them in full. The only one I didn't watch, I watched 9 innings. But then when it went into extras, I was like, okay, this is I need to get something else on. I think I started watching the Stars game, and then they ended up, shitting the bed as well. So against Utah. So, but again, it was a fun series, a good series to kind of to win that on the road, Jake. I mean, does that solidify number 1 team in the country, considering Arkansas loses at Georgia or loses to Georgia in their series?
Yeah, I mean, from what I've seen on all the like On3 posted a prediction for the top 25. They have Texas coming in at number 1. I mean, they're 13-2 in SEC play and 29-5 overall. 6 of those wins are Mississippi State's not a bad team. So 3 of those wins are against a bad team in Missouri, who's horrible. But you swept Mississippi State, you swept Georgia. You went 2-1 against LSU, 2-1 against Kentucky. I think this team, their only losses to Louisville in the non-conference that I can think of. They lost one other game, but I think about their first loss of the season to open up. One of their 5 total losses was to Louisville, who's ranked. They've rolled an Ole Miss team who's top 10 now, who was unranked at the time, but now top 10. They have a lot of high quality wins. I'd say the only thing that we need to see from them now is to go on the road against a top tier team and win.
I would agree.
That is the one missing thing from the resume. But as far as right now, I think they'll be number 1 when the rankings release, I think later today.
Yeah, and I think, Jake, that competition will come against Arkansas in Fayetteville. Now you have Texas A&M coming up on the slate. That's in Austin. That's in a couple of weeks. But yeah, starting in May, you've got at Arkansas, in Fayetteville, and then you've got a series against Florida, and then you go into Norman to end conference play. And so those last 2 series, Jakes, between Arkansas and Oklahoma as your last 2 of your last 3 SEC series going into postseason play, I think that's going to tell a lot of what this team is made of going into the postseason. Now, they have a very strong case to make the national tournament, this, that, and the other. They're going to be one of the higher seeds in the SEC come SEC tournament time. But that'll be those 2 series will tell a lot for me.
Yeah, I mean, Oklahoma's right around that top 15 level, and then Arkansas is still going to be top 5 at
top
worst.
5 by that point. Yeah.
And they're going to be top 5 even after this. They lost the series 2-1 to Georgia. So, yeah, I mean, those are going to be really good tests. At this point, they're probably about 4 more SEC wins away from pretty much locking, hosting a regional, not necessarily a super regional, but at least a regional. I think they are in a really they're in as good of a spot as I ever could have dreamed of this far into the season. Going into it, probably better. I had pretty high hopes that they would be a lot better than last year. I thought they were going to be more towards the middle of the pack in the SEC, with just how good the SEC is in baseball.
I thought they would kind of be kind of like a Kentucky, maybe a little bit better than a Kentucky.
Around that though, because that Kentucky team's been pretty they're good. They're taking games off good teams, but they're not winning the series or closing them, but they're losing close games. I thought that's kind of how it'd be, but you just have to give Schlossnagle and his staff so much credit.
Complete
the turnaround.
I mean,
especially with the pitching
180.
staff.
Yeah.
In this series, when you have a 15 inning game and then you turn around and you win, that's 9-0 on Sundays, by the way. That is
big
the
number.
sign of a good program. Winning on Sundays means you're winning series typically. And so the turnaround of the bullpen, the closing, the starting pitching, everything, and being able to withstand a 15 inning game that was really taxing on your bullpen and then turn around and win a game that wasn't that high scoring the next day. That's the sign of a really strong pitching staff, which is not something I thought we'd be saying.
So we're looking at that, yes, but Jake, we're at a point in the season where these middle of the road teams are scratching and clawing and their seasons are on the line, where Kentucky's giving you everything. They're pushing you to 15 innings so they can get a win because they desperately need those wins. And they're trying to run your pitching staff and your bullpen into the depths. I mean, they're trying to hurt your depth as much as they possibly can on the pitching. And then you come away on Sunday with a good, solid win, 5-4 in 9 innings. And you're not forced to keep Riojas in, but you have the capability of having a guy like Riojas pitching over 100 pitches through 7 innings to get you through Sunday. Because if Riojas struggles early on and you got to get into the depth, you may not have the guys from yesterday's game, and so huge performance, I thought, from Riojas. He was my MVP on Sunday for sure.
He has to be. I mean, that type of pitching performance, especially at the college level, is rare. And just a really big series win. Any road win other than Missouri is a big series win. And to clamp down on Sunday, not let the series get away from them, is just continuing to be a sign of a team that can battle. Their ability to battle back from adversity is one of the most impressive attributes of this team, because they're still missing who's arguably their best player, and Max Bailey. He might be back later in the postseason, but there is a chance he'll be out for the season as well.
And having Galvan get healthy,
Galvan and catcher, Rodriguez,
that's huge. Your catcher being one of the better hitting catchers, but then also his performance, his skill behind the bag as well is also top notch, one of the top in the country, and so him getting healthy was really big. Last thing I want to say about this, Jake, can we get back to just the broadcasters being at the game? Can we do that? Can we not be doing these remote broadcasts like we were in 2020 for college baseball? Like what's up with that? Why are we still doing this?
Yeah, I don't know, and to me it's a terrible look, because the SEC it's not a money issue. This isn't D3. This isn't some small conference that doesn't care about baseball. The SEC is kind of the golden standard in baseball and has been for a while now. And for them not to be at the stadium, it takes away from the broadcast. I mean, and you shouldn't, if you're not at the game, they shouldn't be cutting to the broadcasters ever and showing them. Seeing a library in the background of a freaking baseball game is lame, and it takes away from the viewing experience. And it takes away from the broadcaster's ability to have that excitement level, to have the voice inflections that come out naturally when you're at the game. It's just not the same.
They're also reacting to what is being shown to them through a TV screen, not it being live. That initial pop whenever you hear the ball going off the bat and it's a home run, there's this energy that you can get from that, but also just the interactions that you get with the crowd that the cameraman might have to show you. You know, there was a dog pile for a foul ball with these kiddos fighting over the foul ball or whatever, and they commented on it. They were talking about it. But man, when you're at the game as a broadcaster, you can point those things out yourself that you're seeing there, and then the cameraman can then respond to what you're talking about in the crowd, not the other way around. And so there's just aspects to it, and those are the things that make baseball fun. Oh, look at that lady. She is, look at the plate of nachos that she has. You think she's going to be able to take that down all by herself? Oh, that kid's got a helmet with ice cream in it. Those sorts of things bring me into baseball, like all the crowd interactions that the commentators can have, because that's half the fun of it. But no, Jig, I'm with you. Cutting to two dudes in a library is just that's crazy. That is a wild move to have at a sports broadcast.
Yeah, I hate, and I saw a lot of people talking about it, and this is my first year really, I mean, just diving into baseball, watching, as many games as I can. And I was just blown away by how lame it was. That should never happen. Not in SEC. We're not in a pandemic anymore. There's just no reason for that to be going on.
All right, Jake, switching over to softball. It was in Austin. It was against the number 5 team, the Lady Volunteers of Tennessee, winning the series. Texas did get Friday night's game, 3-0 win, and then turn around, lose Saturday and Sunday, struggling to get runs scored, losing 3-1, then losing 4-1. Just the bats were not batting this weekend for the Longhorns softball team. A couple of big moments, man, and at least in the time that I did get, I'm not going to lie to you, I'm not going to say I watched every single pitch by every single batter, and every single at bat for all 7 innings of these games, but I did get to see a couple of these, for the vast majority, and every single time it felt like Texas could maybe get a hit, maybe get on base, and then boom, a double play would happen, or boom, a strikeout would happen, and just lose all type of rhythm and momentum of getting these batters at least just on base. They were struggling just to make contact with it, even if they did lead off with somebody with some good momentum early in the pitch count, early in the outs, and then it would just be it would end abruptly. I'm like, whoa, what just happened? It was like 3 pitches later, we're switching innings, and so just didn't have the bats this weekend. That's all I can say.
Yeah, at this point, the offense is a concern. For me, it's starting. I'm starting to feel about the soft, and this isn't an insult by any means, obviously, but I'm starting to feel about the softball team kind of how like I was feeling about the women's basketball team, where I go, they're a top team. Like with the softball team, I still think they have a very good chance to make the Women's College World Series, but I don't know if they're actually a legit national title contender or not. And that's what I was kind of talking about going into this series, where they have the big series win against Florida. They do have some high quality wins, but even in those series, they weren't scoring just a bunch of runs. And they typically have been winning lower scoring games. And that's exactly what happened. I mean, the one game they won was 3-0. Then they scored 1 run and 1 run. They scored 5 total runs in 3 games. At home. And that's not going to cut it. That could lose you getting to the Women's College World Series, and that's definitely going to be tough to beat an OU to win a national championship. And unless the bats can get hot at the right time, it has me concerned. Though softball, like baseball, can be very streaky for hitters. So right now, I think the big hope is that's just kind of a mid-season slump, because they have shown the ability to score runs.
They're almost towards the end of the season now. It's not so much mid-season as it is towards the end of the season. And so,
but get hot at the right time, because I expect this team to be able to take care of business in a regional very easily. Really, the super regional is the time where they'd have to probably kick it into a little bit of another gear.
But now they've got to turn it around. Now they have another home series against the top 5 LSU team. But again, it's not going to be a walk in the park trying to get past the Tigers of LSU. It will be in Austin. They do get a little bit of a break in terms of not having to play a Wednesday night game or anything like that. And so, or Tuesday night game, an early week game. And so their next game will be Thursday, however, but they will play a Thursday, Friday, Saturday series against LSU in Austin this upcoming week. And that is obviously because Easter is on Sunday. And so they will be pushing that game up a day or that series up a day. So, but hopefully they can turn it around against LSU. Hopefully they can make the adjustments in their batting lineup or the batting adjustments that they need to. The batting coaches can get a hold of them. Now that Tennessee team, let's not take anything away from them. Great pitching on their side. I mean, they were pitching lights out. Everything that they were throwing was very precise. It was up and in a difficult position. A lot of up and ends, difficult for batters to get a hold of. And so, but again, LSU will be a big series. If you've got to win this series, it feels like this series feels like a must-win series.
Yeah, in Texas, I'm surprised. I'm shocked they don't play A&M in a series in softball.
It's weird.
A&M's really good in softball this year. They're a top 3 team. I think they just swept LSU. Did A&M. So LSU's going to drop in the rankings coming off a sweep, and Texas is going to get them coming in off a sweep, which is scary when you get a really good team coming off a sweep. But despite that, you do feel like it's a must win. And Tennessee is a good team. I don't want to undersell them. They're a top 5 team. They've beaten OU in a series this year, 2-1. They are a very good team. It's just like with women's basketball, this softball team is held to a high standard now. They've been to Women's College World Series multiple times. They've been to the national championship games multiple times recently. They haven't been able to get over that final hump. So when I look at them right now, I'm looking at a program that's trying to get that national title win. And I'm just going to call it as I see it, which is an offense that is struggling right now. And it's going to have to hit a different gear against these top teams, against these top pitchers, to be able to win a Women's College World Series, because to win national titles, that's just what it takes.
All right, Jake, you want to talk a little Masters?
Yeah, incredible Master. I just think I'm just going to keep saying it. Incredible.
It was such. This will go down as one of the most memorable Masters performances, and just flat out tournaments that we've seen in since 2019. It's been the best one in my opinion in recent memory. And so first playoff of the Masters since Justin Rose was last in it in 2017 against Sergio Garcia, and in which he was also on the losing end of that playoff, which is a tough break for Justin Rose, but big fan of his. But I'm going to break this down and see if you agree or disagree with me. So I think you're a bigger fan of Rory than I am, but I was rooting for Rory in this situation so I could stop rooting for him to win this Grand Slam. I'm tired of rooting for Rory. I've never been a big Rory guy ever. And he's also not American, so I will always root for Team USA over anything else. But I've never been a big Rory fan. Even whenever he was winning majors in his first 5 years of being a pro, I was just like, God, this guy's kind of annoying. I don't like his face. I don't like his hair. Don't like really much anything about him. He had a good game, but it just kind of bothered me. But then the talk about him winning the Masters every single year was starting to get on my nerves, where I was like, just win it this year. Just do it. Be done with it. I can root for you this year alone. You have your career Grand Slam, and I never have to hear from you again, and then I never have to root for you again. It happened. I was rooting for him. I am happy for him. I felt sick at the 18 whenever he missed that par putt. I felt I wanted to throw up for him. I'm glad he came back. I'm glad he won the thing. Now I don't ever have to root for Rory ever again.
Yeah, I want to say I'm a Rory fan. I definitely not I don't dislike Rory. I'll put it this way. I'm going to root for an American first, for the most part. And then there's some other European golfers I may root for more. But I do like
Australians. I like the Australians.
I love Minwoo Lee was one of my kind of dark horse picks to do well. He did okay this weekend.
I like Cam Smith. I like those guys.
I was rooting for Bryson at the start of the day, but once he kind of fell off, which I'm still proud of that pick. He did well. He had a chance. He had a lead on Sunday. That was a solid pick. But by the time that Rory had control, and I like Justin Rose, I liked his episode of Full Swing. Just by the way, props to them for who they choose. I mean, it would make you think golf is scripted. There's no way it is scripted. I don't think it'd be possible to script golf. But the way they select their people that they spotlight, and then how the next season, like, so after, like, during the season, they'll have stuff going on. Sometimes they're struggling on the season of full swing, and then they get like a boost the next year. It's like the opposite of a Madden curse. And
if you get highlighted by full swing, get ready for a career year.
Because Justin Rose was struggling last year, and then he had the Open where he almost won it, and then now he had the Masters where he almost won it, but 45 years old, and
put up the round of the tournament on Sunday.
Yeah, I mean, just clutch hit after clutch. The putting was unbelievable by him. And Rory, who felt like he was playing a really good round, yet just a couple holes where two double bogeys, where he just had 2 blow-up holes.
Weird, he had 2 double bogeys to bookend his tournament. On Thursday, he had 2 double bogeys. He had 2 double bogeys on Sunday. First player to win the Masters with 4 double bogeys on their scorecard throughout 72 holes.
Which is how well some of his shots today were iconic.
Yeah.
And that's why
he had at least 2 of those shots that'll be remember 2025 Rory at the Masters. I think it was on 17 or was it 16? That bend around the curve, that tree, it landing about 2 or 3 feet from the pin. I mean, and then the set him up for eagle. He missed the eagle putt, got him the birdie. But that approach, I mean, those 2 approach shots were masterclass.
His approach shots in general today were unbelievable. That one where he bent it around the tree, that's one of the best golf shots I've ever seen in my life. And that's why I do like Rory. I just love his game. He is fun to watch swing the golf club because he hits the ball violently.
Is insane.
And I like how competitive he is. And I like that he's a little bit of a dickhead. I like that he's a sore loser. I like that in my competitors. I don't want you to be happy after a loss. It's just like I am with football. If you storm off the field early, like a Micah Parsons did when they're in the NFL season last year, that was the best part of the whole Cowboys season to me. I like when you're a sore loser. I like when you take not to the point where you put your opponent down, but where you're hard on yourself, or you kind of tell the media to F off. I like that.
And don't put your teammates down. Don't put your teammates in a bad situation.
Which in golf you can't. I guess unless you blame your caddy.
Correct.
But anyone who would do that, I would automatically not like.
Yeah.
And just there's so many iconic shots today that happened, both from Justin Rose and Rory. And then the scenes after he wins that playoff, the emotion coming out. You get some of those iconic Masters photos, like Hideki Matsuyama's caddy several years ago bowing to the course. Tiger when he won in 2019. Just those iconic moments of the Masters that make the Masters so special. And this was one of those.
Yeah. I mean, I also just think, we're going to look back at this Masters as one of the more memorable master moments in the history of golf. And whenever you can have that on this stage at this tournament, it's awesome. Last year we had, Scotty Scheffler nearly 4-putt, and he still won it on the 18th. Like as memorable as it is, as great of a tournament as it was, there was no drama to finish things off. But to go to a playoff, get an extra hole at the Masters being played, and both Justin Rose's approach on the playoff, I was like, there's no way that Rory's going to,
because the pressure it puts on Rory too. It's not just that it was a really good approach, it's that he went first, and so then Rory, the pressure on Rory at that point for him to deliver that approach shot, that even though that shot necessarily wasn't as incredible as far as the bending it around the tree, I think that shot was the most impressive shot, because the pressure after choking on that same hole where your approach shot goes in the bunker. And if you go in the bunker there, you're looking at probably losing the playoff, because there was a good chance Rose was going to make that putt with how he had been putting before.
He nearly did.
And he nearly did. And also the fact that, because you could argue going to the playoff was off of someone else messing up, with Rory messing up on the 18th hole. But for Rory to earn the win, to get a birdie, Justin Rose got a par. No one bogeyed or double bogeyed the playoff and just choked the playoff.
Right.
It was an earned playoff win. I love that the playoff sudden death, by the way, for the
do too.
Masters. And then one other thing. Whoever runs, I guess it's not the teleprompter, but the graphics is a diabolical human being.
Just
To put before that putt, when you know Rory's history, because you talk about memorable majors, don't forget the US Open last year was also one of the most memorable majors in the last decade, because you had Rory choking it to Bryson by missing 2 putts inside of 3 feet, where the whole season leading into that, which that's a major later in the year, he had not missed a single putt inside of 3 feet and then missed 2 in the final round to lose that. And then you're going to put 4 career Grand Slam on the graphic.
Not for Masters champion, not for the win, not for anything like that, for career Grand Slam. That is a diabolical move.
And right when the putt came off of it, I was like, oh, crap.
I mean, Rory reacted to it. The moment it came off the club face, Rory was like, oh, no. Yeah,
props to him for not destroying the green with his putter, because with his history of majors eluding him for the last decade, despite being one of the best golfers in the world every single year, and then to miss that putt, he kept his cool pretty well. He kind of started to laugh a little bit.
Yeah. What was the over on protein bars 8?
Oh, I mean, I guess that's like a nervous tick almost, or making sure he doesn't get the shakes. Or
he's a nervous eater.
He might just be like a Michael Phelps. He is in crazy shape, so he probably just burns a billion calories just walking around. But every time they showed him, he's drinking water, eating something. It worked out for him, but
he had that big old jug of water walking.
I want to know how many of those he went through, because I know he was refilling it, because I saw it was clear water at one point. Then at one point it was some type of Gatorade or something. He was chugging stuff.
Had to have. It's got to be to like keep his nerves, or at least to keep the body kind of from. I'm sure the anxiety and the pressure from the moment is already big enough. I'm sure that at least gives your body substance to burn through that nervousness, to kind of just keep your body at least not like this, and just more so even keel. And so, I mean, hey, whatever works, it worked. Other things that stood out, or Jake, let me ask you this. Who do you think is going to be the next? Is there a next Grand Slam champion on tour right now?
I mean, Spieth's going to have a chance in Texas later this year.
Spieth needs a PGA championship, and that's all he needs.
And you could go, well, Spieth hasn't been put. Well, A, all it takes is to turn it on. B, it took Rory a while. Is Scotty one away?
Believe it or not, Scotty has only won at one major. He has 2 major championships, and those are both Masters, and that's all he's won.
He's come really close at the others, but he hasn't won either. Yep. That's right.
Yeah. Bryson DeChambeau has also 2 majors, but only at the U.S. Open. So same thing as Scotty, except U.S. He's 2-time U.S. Open champion.
I wouldn't be surprised to see us, a Scotty Scheffler or Bryson DeChambeau win one of those this year and get closer. I wouldn't pick Spieth to get it this year, but because it's in Texas,
he plays really well.
He plays really well in Texas, and B, the storyline would be awesome. And he did play okay this weekend at the match. He wasn't bad. So he maybe he can make a run at it. I think he's the only one who has a chance, right?
Imagine this storyline. It would be two golfers in the last 50 years have gotten Grand Slams. We could have 2 this season.
Or career Grand Slams, career.
Yeah. Tiger Woods and Rory are the only 2 in the last 50 years to get a career Grand Slam. Spieth could join that list this year, and us have 2 in the year 2025.
Wow, that would be incredible. And technically, Scotty Scheffler could too, and I would not doubt that. To be honest, he wasn't even playing his best golf right now, and he's still getting like top 10, top 5 in every tournament.
Scotty could very well get a Grand Slam within the next year or 2. Easy.
Even this year, he can win the next 2.
Win the next 3. I wouldn't be surprised.
Or next 3.
But also, Rory has 2 tournament wins this year. Both comes in playoffs.
Yeah, and two huge the two biggest tournaments as far
So
as
far.
prestige goes.
Yeah.
To this point.
Players and Masters. Yep.
And I mean, if Rory right now has to be feeling like his goal is going to be to win multiple more this year.
I think
with how he's playing.
I think this was the monkey off his back, and we might need to watch out for Rory for the rest of the season.
You feel like it's either going to be a foot goes off the pedal moment and he falls off a little bit. Maybe I'm not saying goes like to playing bad. I don't think he's capable of just playing bad golf for an extended period of time, or he's going to be a whole new monster, which is scary because he's playing incredible. And I will say, I think this year the majors are going to be incredible. Because you just have a lot of guys playing really good golf, a lot of guys who are capable of playing really good golf, that if they get the right weekend, the right course, their games can elevate. And I think we're in store to have some really fun majors this year.
Spieth with an iconic sack tap. That was pretty cool. You got to shout him out he gave him the old fist bump, little bam right there. I like that.
That had to be incidental. Right.
That dude, 100% on purpose, without a doubt. He either knew that guy, he was his agent, something like that. But that was a fist bump, sack tap, easy peasy. I mean, that was an iconic. It's so smooth, silky smooth.
Maybe that will propel his golf game to being even better. He's been on the verge of getting his game back. He can't get away from that Jordan Spieth experience issue where he can't help but just blow up at some point mentally and physically on a whole.
Yeah. I mean, dude, there was a great shot of him. He had he was on the fairway and he had his iron and he was about to slam it into the fairway and just absolutely destroy the fairway. And then he just was like, nope, it's Augusta. It's Augusta. Can't do it here. Can't do it here. I want to get invited back. Yeah.
Good picture too of him is just like golf. Like that's how you caption that. Just golf.
Golf. Yep.
Also, that was 100% on purpose. I just watched that again. He's laughing after. He laugh after.
Even he gives him a little snicker afterwards. Yeah. Yeah.
That feels like getting his swagger back home. Borderline.
And the fact that he wasn't playing well and he's still able to have fun out there with it, that tells me something a little bit as well. We had an amateur golfer pee in the river. That was kind of cool.
I'm surprised he made it off the premises alive. The Masters are psycho. I mean, if there's anyone that can get away with murdering someone in plain daylight, that everyone can see and everyone would know the organization that caused it and just get away with it. It's like the mafia and it's the Masters.
Yeah. Augusta can get away with anything they want to get away with. They kind of have golf. They have the PGA by their balls for sure. But I don't think the amateur golfer from Arizona State who wore the upside down hat is going to return to the Masters unless one day he just becomes a top 10 golfer in the world.
That would be incredible. And it feels like every time there's some of these amateurs that have something that stand out in the Masters, they end up being good on tour. And
he golfed with some pretty incredible groups, by the way. He was with Justin Thomas and with Scotty Scheffler.
They hooked him up with not only fun groups of just like, wow, I'm with awesome golfers, but personality wise. Like I feel like Scotty Scheffler probably is cool with chatting with you in between holes in the round.
Maybe not Masters. I'd feel like it.
Yeah, the Masters is.
I feel like he's probably pretty laser focused into his game, but I can imagine at a lower level tournament where he'd be kind of fun to kind of chit chat with.
I did see in a Bryson interview they asked him, so how was it, like walking with Rory or and playing with him in his final round? He's like, he didn't say a word to me the whole round.
Yeah, no. I don't feel like this is a very like, let's cut it up, have a good time type tournament with a lot of these guys,
especially in the final grouping and the final round.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. There's a lot of money at stake, a lot of legacy at stake. And now you do get to see, like, I don't know, what was it, 2022 when Rory holed out from the bunker on the 18, where he and Colin Morikawa were not in the tournament to win it. They were, middle of the pack, and Rory holed out, and then Colin follows suit, and he holes out from the same bunker. And they both end their tournament that way, and they both kind of gave a nice little bro hug of like rooting each other on and stuff. Like, I think in those moments, it's just fandom at that point. But yeah, I mean, it was a fun tournament, man. I love this Masters. This Masters will go down as a lasting memory for me forever.
Yeah, it's an all timer. And also, the last thing I'll mention about it, Aberg blowing up, just one of us moment on the last hole,
quadruple
and on
bogey.
The last two, he tripled the last and he bogeyed the second to last, and those 2 holes cost him from going from about 1.4 million in earnings to about 650K. Obviously you're not going to be mad whenever that wire hits the bank account. That's a lot of money.
That's a lot
of money to lose. Yeah. I would be a little sick that I couldn't just not triple bogey the last, to go from fairway bunker to not getting out of the fairway bunker, and staying in that same bunker, to going greenside bunker, to going over the green, to damn near going back into the greenside bunker. Yeah, that was rough. I
think I've sent you a couple of them, but there's a guy who's virtually shooting his round of golf via Google Maps at Augusta, and he's mapping out his shots on the golf course of what he would hypothetically shoot. And I think through 3 holes, he's about 10 over already. And he's like, yeah, this one's going into the clubhouse. This one is going to go back in the bunker. I'm going to be
and
stuck
you can't
in
even
bunker.
Simulate the greens.
I know.
All,
but he's just like, I'm going to overshoot this green, and then I'll have to end up chipping back on, and then I'm going to over chip this one over the green. And yeah, it's great.
It's that golden question that I think gets asked every year with the match. It's like, if you started at the furthest edge of the green from the pin,
or the worst spot on the
just
green,
putt, or the worst spot or whatever at an edge, and had to putt and just only had to putt every green, would you be able to win the Masters or go under par? And I think a lot of people don't pay attention to how crazy those greens are, because the majority of people, now if you're a single digit handicap type guy, yeah, you'd probably be able to go under par and maybe win the tournament. But if you're a regular golfer who's probably 15 handicap plus,
you and me, Jake, are probably not making the cut.
No, 100% no.
I'm not shooting. The cut this year was 2 over par. I'm not
putting is the biggest strength of my game, arguably, and I would not come close.
Yeah, I don't think I'm shooting 2 over par in 2 rounds of golf there at Augusta to make the cut.
No, because the par 5s are going to be your biggest advantage. You're going to have a pretty good chance to birdie, at least birdie.
At minimum.
The par 3s are going to demolish you because some of those par 3s greens are diabolical.
And some of them are going into the water.
Yes. You may have to go into the drop area and then chip, and then you're in a whole nother world of pain.
I don't want any part of that.
Or you go in a bunker, and then everyone who's watching is in danger. I'll put it this way: there's a better chance of me ending up in jail because I kill someone with a golf ball than there is of me making the cut.
Absolutely, 100%, without a doubt. Yeah, no, it's not. It would not be a good look. I wouldn't put that on my worst enemy. All right, Jake. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode. Catch us tomorrow, 5 days a week, Monday through Friday. We will be talking some Texas football tomorrow. So if you're on this page to talk some football, we got that for you. Probably once a week from here on out. We'll probably be throwing in some football at some point in time. So Texas baseball on a roll. Texas softball needs to bounce back. We'll get towards the end of the week, we will get a better look and kind of a feel for the upcoming preview for the series coming up this weekend, as it is Easter weekend, and so schedule's thrown off just a little bit. But with all that being said, that is Jake Jimerson. I'm Tanner Carlson. Please like, share, and subscribe. This is your daily fix for all things Texas Longhorns right here on All In Horns. And as always, ladies and gentlemen, hook 'em.
All in Sports Network. We love sports.